The space station drifted silently around the massive gas giant Epsilon 7. It was a lonely outpost, far from Earth, built to monitor the edge of human-explored space. The crew, on board, lived their lives in routine, performing daily tasks to keep the station running smoothly. For most of them, it was just another ordinary day until everything changed. Captain Aaron Blake sat in his quarters, staring at the glowing screen in front of him. He had been reviewing reports about minor repairs needed on the station when the door slid open. Rachel Monroe, the communications officer, stepped inside. Her face was pale, and her hands trembled slightly as she held a datapad. Aaron frowned. "Something wasn't right," Captain Rachel said, her voice low but urgent. "We've picked up something unusual. I need to see this." Aaron stood up immediately. "What is it?" Rachel hesitated for a moment before answering. "A signal coming from deep space. We traced it back to a region we've never explored before." Aaron followed her to the communications room. The room was dimly lit, filled with blinking lights and humming machines. Another officer, Lieutenant Daniel Ross, was already there, leaning over a console. His arms were crossed, and his expression was skeptical. This better be important. Daniel muttered as Aaron approached. Rachel ignored him and pointed to the main screen. A series of lines and waves appeared, representing the mysterious signal. At first glance, it looked like random noise. But as Aaron studied it more closely, he noticed something strange. The pattern repeated itself over and over again. It wasn't chaos, it was deliberate. "It's rhythmic," Aaron said slowly. She tapped a few buttons, and the sound filled the room. It started as a faint hum, then grew louder, pulsing in regular intervals. There was something haunting about it, almost. Like a cry for help, Dr. Emma Hayes entered the room just as the sound played. She was the station's xenobiologist, an expert in alien life forms. Her eyes widened as she listened. "This isn't natural," she said after a moment. "Someone or something is trying to communicate." Daniel scoffed. "Or it's a trick. Maybe someone's playing games with us." Aaron shot him a sharp look. "We can't ignore this. If there's even a chance that intelligent beings are out there, we have to investigate." Emma nodded in agreement. "I think Captain Blake is right. This could be our first real contact with extraterrestrial life. We can't pass up the opportunity." Aaron turned back to Rachel. "Can you pinpoint where it's coming from?" Rachel hesitated. "It's difficult. Signal is weak, and it's bouncing off several celestial bodies. But I think I can narrow it down if I have more time." "Do it," Aaron ordered. Then he turned to Emma. "Get ready to analyze whatever we find." Emma nodded and left the room. Aaron glanced at Daniel, who still looked. "Unconvinced? You don't agree?" Aaron asked. "I think we're rushing into this," Daniel replied. "We don't know what's out there. It could be dangerous. And if it is dangerous, wouldn't you rather know about it now instead of later?" Aaron countered. "Besides, we're explorers. That's why we're here to discover new things." Daniel didn't respond. He simply shook his head and walked away. Over the next few hours, the station buzzed with activity. Word spread quickly among the crew about the mysterious signal. Some were excited, eager to learn more. Others, like Daniel, remained cautious. Meanwhile, Rachel worked tirelessly in the communications room, trying to locate the source of the signal. Finally, late into the night, she found it. She rushed to Aaron's office, nearly bursting through the door. "Captain, I did it," she exclaimed. "I traced the signal. It's coming from a sector near the outer rim of the galaxy." Aaron leaned forward in his chair. "How far is it?" "About 3 days' travel at maximum speed," Rachel replied. "But there's something else. The signal seems to be getting weaker. Whatever's sending it might not last much longer." Aaron nodded. "Then we need to move fast." Rachel saluted and hurried off to carry out his orders. Aaron spent the next few minutes thinking. He knew this mission would be risky. They were heading into uncharted territory with no idea what they'd find. But he also knew they couldn't turn away. Humanity had always been driven by curiosity, by the desire to explore the unknown. This was their chance to take one step further. Soon, the team was assembled. Along with Rachel and Emma, Chief Engineer Sam Carter joined them. Sam was a quiet man, but his skills were unmatched. Could fix anything, no matter how broken it seemed. Together, they boarded the Horizon, a sleek, mid-sized ship designed for exploration missions. As the ship detached from the station and began its journey, the crew gathered in the cockpit. Aaron addressed them. "This mission is important," he said. "We don't know what we'll find out there, but we have to stay alert. Stick to the plan, and don't take unnecessary risks." Everyone nodded, though tension hung thick in the air. No one spoke much as the ship sailed deeper into space. The view outside the windows was breathtaking. Countless stars stretched across the black void. One tiny speck of light. But despite the beauty, there was an underlying sense of unease. Hours passed, and the signal grew stronger. Emma studied the data carefully, trying to make sense of it. "Artificial," she said at one point. "Whoever made this knows what they're doing. But why send out a signal like this?" Rachel wondered aloud. "Why not come closer to us?" "Maybe they can't," Sam suggested. "Maybe they're trapped or injured." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "That's possible. Or maybe they're testing us, seeing if we're worth contacting." Aaron listened to their theories but didn't comment. He kept his focus on the task ahead. The closer they got to the source, the more determined he became. Whatever was waiting for them, they would face it together. By the end of the second day, the signal was so strong that it felt almost alive. It resonated through the ship, vibrating in their chests. Emma described it as emotional, saying it carried feelings of fear, sadness, and desperation. The crew couldn't help but feel affected by it. Even Sam, who rarely showed emotion, admitted that it gave him chills. On the third day, they finally reached the location. What they found took their breath away. Floating in the emptiness of space was a massive alien vessel. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen, organic and metallic at the same time, with tendrils and spires twisting outward like roots. Lights flickered across its surface, casting eerie shadows. The crew stared in awe. "Is that a ship?" Rachel whispered. "It has to be," Aaron replied. "Let's get closer." As the horizon approached, the signal intensified. It was deafening now, filling every corner of the ship. Aaron gave the order to dock. Crew prepared themselves, unsure of what they'd encounter. Whatever was inside that alien vessel, it was waiting for them. The crew of the Horizon moved cautiously as they approached the alien vessel. The ship loomed ahead of them, its strange design both fascinating and unsettling. It looked like a mix of living tissue and metal, with glowing veins running across its surface. Lights pulsed irregularly, casting shadows that danced along the walls of the cockpit. Captain Aaron Blake stood at the front, his eyes fixed on the massive structure. "Prepare for docking," he ordered. His voice was calm, but there was no mistaking the tension in the room. Everyone knew this could be dangerous. They had no idea what Torhu they might find inside. Chief Engineer Sam Carter worked quickly. At his station, aligning the Horizon with an opening in the alien ship, it wasn't a traditional airlock, but rather a jagged hole, as if something had torn through the hull. "This doesn't look natural," Sam muttered under his breath. "Something damaged this ship." Dr. Emma Hayes leaned closer to get a better view. "Maybe whatever happened is why they sent the signal," she suggested. Her tone was thoughtful, but her hands trembled slightly. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something far bigger than themselves. Once the ship was secured, Aaron turned to the team. "Rachel, stay here and monitor communications. If anything happens, you'll need to get us out of here fast." Rachel nodded, her fingers already flying over the controls. "Emma, Sam, you're with me? Let's move carefully." The trio stepped onto the alien ship, their boots making soft thuds against the floor. The interior was dimly lit, with faint bioluminescent glows emanating from the walls. The air smelled strange, sharp, and metallic, with a hint of something sweet. It made Sam wrinkle his nose. "This place feels alive," Emma whispered. She reached out to touch one of the glowing patches on the wall. As soon as her hand made contact, the light brightened briefly, before fading back to its original glow. She pulled her hand away quickly, startled. Aaron raised an eyebrow. Be careful. We don't know how this thing works. They continued deeper, into the ship, following a narrow corridor lined with strange symbols etched into the walls. The symbols shimmered faintly, almost like they were responding to the crew's presence. Emma stopped to examine them more closely. These aren't random marks, she said. There's some kind of writing, maybe a language. You think you can translate it? Aaron asked. Not yet, Emma admitted, but I'll take pictures. With time, we might be able to figure it out. As they moved further, the atmosphere grew. Heavier, it wasn't just the lack of oxygen. It felt oppressive, like the ship itself was watching them. Every sound echoed unnaturally, and every shadow seemed to shift when they weren't looking. Sam tightened his grip on his toolkit, ready for anything. Suddenly, the group came to a large chamber. In the center of the room was a platform surrounded by tall, crystalline structures. The crystals emitted a low hum, vibrating in sync with the mysterious signal they'd been tracking. Aaron stepped closer, examining the setup. What do you think this is? He asked. Emma shook her head. Not sure, but those crystals, they remind me of organic technology. Like they're part of the ship itself. Sam knelt down to inspect the base of one of the crystals. Energy flowing through these things, he said. Whatever they're doing, it's important. Before anyone could respond, a loud noise echoed through the chamber. It sounded like cracking glass, followed by a deep groan. The entire ship shuddered violently, throwing the crew off balance. Aaron grabbed onto a nearby railing to steady himself. What was that? Emma exclaimed, her voice tinged with panic. Don't know, Aaron replied grimly. But we need to find out. Stick together. The group pressed on, navigating through twisting corridors until they reached another section of the ship. Here the walls were covered in what looked like pods, crystalline containers suspended vertically. Inside each pod was a figure, humanoid but distinctly alien. Their translucent skin revealed intricate patterns beneath, and their multiple eyes remained closed. Emma gasped. They're in stasis, she said. This must be where the crew is being kept. Do you think they're still alive? Sam asked. Some of them might be, Emma answered. But without knowing how this system works, we can't risk waking them up yet. As they examined the pods, a faint whisper filled the air. At first it was barely audible, blending with the hum of the ship, but then it grew louder, clearer. The whispers weren't words, at least yet. Not ones the humans could understand, but they carried emotion. Fear, pain, desperation. Can you hear that? Rachel's voice crackled over the comms link. She sounded uneasy. Yeah, we hear it, Aaron replied. Stay focused, Rachel. Keep an eye on our exit. The whispers grew stronger as the crew moved closer to one particular pod. Unlike the others, this one seemed active. Its surface shimmered, and the figure inside stirred slightly. Without warning, the pod began to open. Back up, Aaron shouted, raising his weapon instinctively. Sam and Emma obeyed, retreating a few steps. The pod split apart, releasing a cloud of vapor. When it cleared, the alien inside sat upright, blinking slowly, as if adjusting to its surroundings. It was taller than a human, with elongated limbs, and a smooth, featureless face, except for its many glowing eyes. For a moment, it simply stared at the intruders. Then it spoke. Its voice wasn't audible in the usual sense. It resonated directly in their minds. The sensation was overwhelming. Like a jumble of thoughts and emotions crashing into them all at once. Aaron winced, clutching his head. Help us, the voice pleaded. Deathworlders, help us. Emma recovered first. Did it just call us Deathworlders? She asked, her voice trembling. It must mean humans, Aaron guessed. He took a cautious step forward. We're here to help. Can you tell us what happened? The alien tilted its head, as if considering his words. Then it extended one of its slender arms toward the group. A burst of images flooded their minds. Fire, destruction, and shadowy figures attacking the alien ship. The vision ended abruptly, leaving the crew reeling. They were attacked, Emma said, piecing together the fragments. By someone or something else. Before they could ask more questions, Alarms blared throughout the alien ship. Red lights flashed, bathing the chamber in an ominous glow. The ground shook again, more violently this time. "We need to leave now," Aaron barked. The team sprinted back toward the docking bay, their hearts pounding. Behind them, the ship groaned and creaked as if it were falling apart. Just as they reached the horizon, Sam spotted movement outside the windows. Dark shapes darted past, too fast to identify. "What are those?" Emma cried. "Don't stop," Aaron yelled. "Get aboard." Once everyone was safely inside, Rachel wasted no time firing up the engines. The horizon detached from the alien ship just as the dark shapes converged on its hull. Whatever they were, they didn't seem friendly. "Hold on tight," Rachel warned as she pushed the ship to maximum speed. The crew braced themselves as the horizon shot away from the alien vessel, leaving the unknown horrors behind for now. The crew of the Horizon sat in stunned silence as their ship raced away from the alien vessel. Behind them, the dark shapes continued to swarm around the damaged craft, their movements swift and aggressive. Through the windows, the crew could see flashes of light, explosions, or weapons fire. They weren't sure which. Whatever those creatures were, they meant business. Captain Aaron Blake clenched his fists as he stared at the scene unfolding behind them. "What were those things?" he muttered under his breath. His mind raced with questions. Had they been too late to help the aliens? Were the shadowy figures responsible for the distress signal? Dr. Emma Hayes leaned back in her seat, still shaken. From the encounter, her hands trembled slightly as she reviewed the data she'd collected during their brief time aboard the alien ship. "They're predators," she said finally. "Whoever or whatever those things are, they're hunting the aliens we met." Sam Carter nodded grimly. He was seated at the engineering console, keeping a close eye on the ship's systems. "Looks like we stumbled into something bigger than we bargained for," he said. "If those things catch up to us, we're in trouble." Rachel Monroe, who had piloted the ship to safety, glanced over her shoulder. "Should I try to lose them?" she asked. "We could use evasive maneuvers." Aaron shook his head. "No, not yet. Let's put some distance between us and see. If they follow, if they do, then we'll worry about losing them." For several tense minutes, the crew watched as the alien ship grew smaller and smaller in the distance. The dark shapes didn't pursue the horizon. Instead, they seemed focused on the alien vessel, tearing it apart piece by piece. It was horrifying to witness, but also a relief for now at least. The crew was safe. As the adrenaline began to fade, Aaron turned to Emma. "Tell me everything you learned while we were on that ship." Emma took a deep breath before speaking. "The aliens call themselves the Luminari. From what I gathered, they're a peaceful species. Their technology blends biology and machinery. They grow their ships instead of building them. That's why the interior felt so alive." "And the signal," Aaron prompted. "It was a cry for help," Emma explained. "The Luminari were fleeing from those creatures, the ones attacking their ship, hoping someone would come to their aid." "Did they say anything else?" Aaron asked. Emma hesitated. "They mentioned something about Deathworlders at first. I thought it was just a term for humans, but now I'm not so sure. It might refer to Earth itself, for maybe our entire species. Something about us being destructive or dangerous." Aaron frowned. "That doesn't sound promising. Do you think they trust us?" "They don't have much choice," Emma admitted. "They're desperate. But we need to be careful. Helping them might mean putting ourselves in even greater danger." Aaron nodded thoughtfully. He turned to Sam. "How's the ship holding up?" "We're good for now," Sam replied. "But if those things decide to chase us, we'll need more firepower. Our weapons aren't designed for combat against something like that. We'll deal with that if it happens," Aaron said firmly. "For now, let's focus on getting back to the station. We need reinforcements and answers." The journey back was quiet, though the mood remained tense. Everyone was lost in their own thoughts, replaying the events of the past few hours in their minds. Emma spent most of the time reviewing the images and recordings she'd taken aboard the alien ship. She hoped to find clues that might explain the nature of the attackers. Meanwhile, Rachel kept a close watch on the sensors, scanning for any sign of pursuit. So far, there was nothing, but that didn't mean they were safe. The shadowy figures had proven to be fast and unpredictable. For all they knew, they could be lying in wait when the Horizon finally docked at the space station, orbiting Epsilon 7. The crew was greeted by Lieutenant Daniel Ross. His expression was grim as Aaron stepped off the ship. "There," he demanded. "You've been gone for days, and we haven't heard a word from you." Aaron sighed. "It's complicated. We found the source of the Signalan alien ship. Its crew, the Luminari, are being hunted by another species. We barely escaped with our lives." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "And you want us to get involved?" "This isn't our fight." "It becomes our fight if those things decide to come after us next," Aaron shot back. "Besides, the Luminari reached out for help. We can't turn our backs on them." Before Daniel could argue further, Captain Lisa Grant arrived. She commanded the Vanguard, another ship stationed at the outpost. Unlike Daniel, Lisa seemed eager to hear more. "Tell me everything," she said. Aaron quickly summarized their findings, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. He finished. Lisa looked convinced. "We need to act," she said. "If these creatures are as dangerous as you say, we can't afford to wait until they show up here." Daniel crossed his arms. "Even if we wanted to help, how do we fight something we don't understand? We don't know their weaknesses, their motives, or anything else." "That's why we brought back data," Emma interjected. She held up her tablet, displaying images of the Luminari and the shadowy figures. "With time, we might be able to figure out how to stop them, but we need resources and backup." Lisa nodded. "I'll prepare the Vanguard to accompany you. Together we stand a better chance." Aaron felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you, Captain Grant. We'll need all the help we can get." Over the next few hours, the station buzzed with activity. Supplies were loaded onto both ships, and additional crew members volunteered to join the mission. Aaron addressed the group, explaining the stakes and outlining the plan. "Our goal is simple: return to the alien ship and rescue as many Luminari as possible. Once we have them on board, we'll retreat to safer territory." "But what about those things?" one of the volunteers asked. "Won't they attack again?" "They will," Aaron admitted. "Which is why we need to stay alert. Stick to the plan, and don't take unnecessary risks." As preparations continued, Emma worked tirelessly to analyze the information she'd gathered. The Luminari communicated not only through sound, but also through emotions transmitted via their crystalline structures. This insight gave her an idea. "If we can replicate their frequency," she explained to Aaron, "we might be able to establish direct communication with them. That could give us an edge." Aaron smiled faintly. "Good work, Emma. Keep at it." Finally, the moment came to depart. Both the Horizon and the Vanguard launched from the station, heading back toward the coordinates of the alien ship. The crew braced themselves for what lay ahead. They knew the odds were against them, but they also knew they couldn't abandon the Luminari to their fate. As the ships approached the region where the alien vessel had been, tension mounted. The area was eerily quiet, with no sign of the shadowy figures or the wreckage of the Luminari ship. Rachel monitored the sensors closely, searching for any trace of activity. "There," she exclaimed suddenly, pointing to a blip on the screen. "Something's out there." Aaron leaned forward, his jaw tightening. "Let's move in slowly. Stay ready for anything." The two ships advanced cautiously, their weapons armed and shields raised. What they found waiting for them was unlike anything they'd imagined: a massive fleet of the shadowy figures, drifting silently in the void. Each ship was sleek and black, exuding an aura of menace. "They're waiting for us," Lisa said grimly over the comms-link. Aaron swallowed hard. This isn't going to be easy. But we didn't come this far to back down now. With that, the human fleet prepared for battle. The human fleet hovered cautiously at the edge of the shadowy armada. The enemy ships were dark and silent, their surfaces absorbing light like black holes. Each vessel seemed to pulse faintly as if alive, and the sight sent chills down everyone's spines. Captain Aaron Blake stared at the screen, his mind racing with possibilities. They had come to save the Luminari, but now they faced an overwhelming force. "We're outnumbered," Lieutenant Daniel Ross muttered from his station. His voice carried a mix of fear and frustration. This is insane. We can't win against that. Aaron ignored him for a moment, focusing on the tactical display. He turned to Captain Lisa Grant, who commanded the vanguard. Her ship was larger and more heavily armed than the Horizon, but even together, their chances were slim. "Lisa, do you see any weak points?" he asked. Lisa studied the screen carefully. Her ships are clustered tightly around what looks like a central command vessel. If we can take out that one, it might disrupt their coordination. "It's risky," Sam Carter chimed in. He was monitoring the engineering systems aboard the Horizon. "If we focus all our firepower on the command ship, the others will swarm us." Aaron nodded. "It's a risk we'll have to take. First, we need to draw them away from the Luminari ship. It's still intact." Emma Hayes, who had been quietly working at her station, suddenly spoke up. "I think I've found something." She pointed to a blinking signal on her tablet. "There's residual energy coming from the same area where we last saw the alien ship. It's faint, but it's there. The Luminari might still be alive."
Aaron's
expression hardened. "Then we don't have a choice. We go in." The plan was simple, but dangerous. The Horizon would lead a diversionary attack, drawing the enemy ships away from the Luminari vessel. Meanwhile, the Vanguard would move in stealthily, using its cloaking device to approach the central command ship undetected. Once in position, both ships would unleash everything they had to disable the enemy flagship before giving the order. Aaron addressed his crew over the intercom. "This is it," he said, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "We didn't come this far to turn back now. Stick to the plan, stay sharp, and trust each other. Let's make sure the Luminari survive this." The two ships broke formation, executing their roles with precision. The Horizon surged forward, firing a series of warning shots at the nearest enemy vessels. The reaction was immediate. Dozens of shadowy ships peeled off from the main group, turning their attention to the smaller human craft. Streaked across space as the enemy opened fire. Rachel Monroe gripped the controls tightly, weaving the Horizon through the chaos. "They're fast," she shouted, her voice strained. "I'm doing my best to keep them off us." "Keep it up, Rachel," Aaron urged. "Just a little longer." On board the Vanguard, Lisa Grant guided her ship toward the central command vessel. The cloaking device masked their presence, but the tension among her crew was palpable. Every movement felt like walking a tightrope. One wrong step, and they'd be discovered. Back on the Horizon, the situation grew dire. Enemy ships surrounded them, their relentless attacks battering the shields. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems began to fail. "Shields are down to 30%, Sam called out. "We can't keep this up much longer." Aaron gritted his teeth. "Hold on. Lisa should be in position by now." As if on cue, the Vanguard decloaked directly behind the enemy command ship. Its weapons roared to life, unleashing a barrage of missiles and energy blasts. The command ship shuddered under the assault, its surface cracking and glowing red-hot. The distraction worked. Many of the shadowy ships abandoned their pursuit of the Horizon and turned to defend their leader. This gave Aaron and his crew a chance to regroup. "Rachel, get us out of here," Aaron ordered. "No," Emma interrupted. "We can't leave yet. The Luminari ship is close. I can feel it." Aaron hesitated. He trusted Emma's instincts, but staying in the battle zone was suicide. Before he could decide, a transmission crackled through the comm system. It wasn't human, it was the Luminari. "Help us, Deathworlders," the voice pleaded. Resonating in their minds, the desperation was clear. "That settles it," Aaron said firmly. "Rachel, take us to the source of that signal." Full speed. Rachel obeyed, pushing the Horizon to its limits. The ship darted through the battlefield, narrowly avoiding enemy fire. Finally, they spotted it, a battered fragment of the Luminar ship, barely clinging to existence. Crystalline pods lined its interior, some still glowing faintly with life. "We're going in," Aaron declared. Turned to Emma. "Can you wake them?" Emma nodded, her hands trembling as she worked at her console. "I'll try, but it's going to take time." Time was something they didn't have. Enemy ships closed in, their weapons trained on the horizon. Just as hope seemed lost, reinforcements arrived. Several of the surviving Luminari emerged from their pods, their translucent forms shimmering with energy. One of them stepped forward, its multiple eyes locking onto Aaron. "You have done well, Deathworlders," the Luminari said, its voice echoing in their minds. "Now stand aside. We will handle this." Without waiting for a response, the Luminari raised their arms. A wave of energy rippled outward from their bodies, engulfing the enemy ships. The shadowy vessels froze mid-flight, their movements halting completely. Then one by one they disintegrated into nothingness. The crew of the Horizon watched in awe as the battlefield cleared. The Luminari lowered their arms, exhaustion evident in their postures. "Thank you," the leader said simply. "You have saved us." Aaron exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. "What happens now?" "For now we retreat," the Luminari replied. "Our people are few, and we must rebuild. But know this, you have earned our trust. Together, we may yet find a way to end this war." With that, the Luminari boarded the Horizon, seeking refuge among their rescuers. As the human fleet departed the area, the crew couldn't help but reflect on what they'd just accomplished. Against all odds, they had faced an unknown enemy and prevailed not through brute force, but through courage and cooperation. For Aaron, it was a reminder of why they explored the stars in the first place. There was always danger lurking beyond the horizon, but there was also hope. Sometimes that hope came in the form of unexpected allies. The human fleet drifted quietly through space, carrying the surviving Luminari to safety.
Ow.
The mood aboard the Horizon was a mix of relief and exhaustion. Everyone had pushed themselves to their limits during the battle, and now they were paying the price. But despite their fatigue, there was a sense of accomplishment. They had saved lives and possibly forged an alliance that could change the future. Captain Aaron Blake stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. His mind replayed the events of the past few days. He still couldn't believe how close they had come to failure. If the Luminari hadn't intervened when they did, the shadowy enemy might have overwhelmed them completely. Even now, he didn't fully understand what those creatures were, or why they hunted the Luminari so ruthlessly. Dr. Emma Hayes approached him, her tablet in hand. "I've been talking to the Luminari," she said softly. "They've shared some information about their attackers." Aaron turned to face her. "What did they say?" Emma hesitated before responding. "The creatures call themselves the Void Spawn. They're not just predators, they're destroyers. Their goal is to consume everything. Planets, civilizations, even entire star systems. Once they've taken what they need, they leave nothing behind." "That explains why they went after the Luminari," Aaron muttered. "But why attack us? We're not part of their usual prey." "They see potential threats," Emma explained. "Anything that could stand against them is marked for destruction. That includes us now," Aaron frowned. "So, we're targets too. Great." Emma nodded grimly. "But the Luminari think we can fight back. They believe our technology combined with theirs could give us an edge." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "What kind of technology are we talking about?" "Their organic systems are far more advanced than anything we've developed," Emma replied. "For example, they use crystalline structures to store and transmit energy. It's efficient, adaptable, and incredibly powerful. If we can integrate their methods into our ships, we might be able to match the Void Spawn." Aaron thought about this for a moment. "It sounds promising, but it won't be easy. Our tech isn't designed to work with theirs. We'll figure it out," Emma said firmly. "We don't have a choice." Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Sam Carter was already hard at work in the engineering bay. Several Luminari had joined him, their translucent forms glowing faintly in the dim light. Together, they examined pieces of equipment from both species, trying to find ways to merge their technologies. Sam wasn't used to working with living machines, but he was determined to make it work. "This is incredible," Sam murmured as one of the Luminari demonstrated how their crystals could power a damaged console. "If we can replicate this on a larger scale, we'll have unlimited energy." The Luminari tilted its head, as if curious about Sam's excitement. "Your species has much to learn," it said, its voice resonating in his mind. Are quick to adapt. That is why we trust you. Sam smiled faintly. Thanks, I think. Back on the bridge, Lieutenant Daniel Ross paced nervously. He still wasn't convinced that helping the Luminari was worth the risk. We should be heading home, he argued. Not messing around with alien tech. What if something goes wrong? We could end up making things worse. Aaron sighed. We can't run away, Daniel. The Void Spawn aren't going to stop hunting us just because we ignore them. If we want to survive, we need to fight back. And if we lose, Daniel shot. Back. Then what? Then at least we tried, Aaron replied sharply. That's better than doing nothing? Daniel didn't respond. He simply shook his head and walked away, muttering under his breath. As the hours passed, progress began to show. Sam and the Luminari managed to retrofit one of the Horizon's engines using their combined technologies. The result was astonishing. Ship moved faster and more smoothly than ever before. Rachel Monroe tested the new system, her eyes widening in amazement. This is incredible, she said. It feels like flying on air. Encouraged by their success, the crew doubled their efforts. Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly to upgrade both the Horizon and the Vanguard. By the time they reached the outskirts of human-controlled space, the ships were nearly unrecognizable. Their surfaces shimmered with a blend of metal and organic material. And their weapon systems had been enhanced beyond anything previously imagined. Captain, Lisa Grant contacted Aaron over the comms link. How's it looking on your end? She asked. Better than expected, Aaron replied. We're ready for whatever comes next, Lisa nodded. Good, because I'm picking up something on the sensors. Looks like another fleet human this time, Aaron frowned. Are they friendly? I think so, Lisa said. But they're hailing us. Should I patch them through? Do it, Aaron ordered. A moment later, a familiar face appeared on the main screen. It was Admiral Karen Hayes, commander of Earth's Outer Defense Forces. Her expression was stern, but relieved. Captain Blake, Captain Grant, report, she demanded. Aaron stepped forward. Admiral Hayes, we've encountered a hostile alien species known as the Void Spawn. They've been attacking the Luminari, who are now seeking refuge with us. We've also upgraded our ships using their technology. Karen raised an eyebrow. Upgraded how? We've integrated their organic systems with ours, Aaron explained. It gives us a significant advantage, but we need reinforcements. The Void Spawn are too dangerous to face alone. Karen leaned back in her chair, considering his words. You're asking for support based on the word of an alien species we know nothing about. They saved our lives, Aaron countered. Without them, we wouldn't be here right now. Trust me, Admiral, they're on our side. After a long pause, Karen nodded. Very well. I'll send additional ships to meet you. But understand this. Blake Hiff, this turns into a disaster. You'll answer for it. Understood, Aaron replied. The meeting ended, and the crew exhaled in relief. Reinforcements meant they had a real chance against the Void Spawn. But Aaron knew the battle was far from over. The Void Spawn were relentless. They wouldn't stop until every last threat was eliminated. Over the next few days, the human fleet regrouped and prepared for the inevitable confrontation. The Luminar shared strategies and tactics, teaching the humans how to predict the Void Spawn's movements. Emma worked closely with them, translating their knowledge into terms the crew could understand. They rely on overwhelming numbers. Emma explained during one briefing, but they're not very adaptable. If we can catch them off guard, we can win. Aaron nodded. Then that's exactly what we'll do. The plan was straightforward. Using decoy signals, they would lure the Void Spawn into a trap near a dense asteroid field. The asteroids would limit the Void Spawn's mobility, giving the human fleet an opportunity to strike. It was risky, but it was their best shot. When the day of the battle arrived, tension filled the air. The crew of the Horizon took their positions, each person focused on their role. Aaron addressed them one last time. This is it, he said. We've trained for this. We've prepared for this. Now let's finish it. The fleet moved into position, deploying the decoy signals. Within minutes, the Void Spawn responded, their dark ships emerging from the void. As predicted, they swarmed toward the bait, entering the asteroid field. Once they were inside, the human fleet struck. Energy beams and missiles tore through the darkness. Targeting the Void Spawn's command ships, the Luminari joined the fight, their crystalline weapons slicing through enemy defenses. For the first time, the Void Spawn faltered. Their usual precision was gone, replaced by confusion and chaos. But they weren't defeated yet. In a desperate counterattack, several Void Spawn ships broke free of the asteroid field and charged directly at the human fleet. Aaron gritted his teeth. "Hold the line," shouted. The battle raged on, each side refusing to give ground. Finally, with a coordinated assault, the human fleet destroyed the Void Spawn's flagship. Without their leader, the remaining ships scattered, retreating into the depths of space. As the dust settled, cheers erupted throughout the fleet. They had won. Against all odds, they had driven the Void Spawn back. Aaron looked around at his crew, pride swelling in his chest. "Good work, everyone," he said. He did it. But he knew this was only the beginning. The Void Spawn would return someday, stronger and angrier than ever. Till then, humanity had earned a brief reprieve, a chance to prepare for the next fight, and prepare they would. The battle was over, but the crew of the Horizon didn't celebrate for long. The victory against the Void Spawn had come at a cost. Several ships from the human fleet were damaged, and some crew members had been injured or worse. Captain Aaron. Blake stood on the bridge, staring at the empty space where the Void Spawn had disappeared. He felt a mix of emotions. Relief that they had survived. Sadness for those who hadn't, and unease about what lay ahead. Dr. Emma Hayes walked up beside him. Her face was tired, but her eyes shone with determination. "We did it," she said. Softly, "but this isn't the end." Aaron nodded. "You're right. The Void Spawn will be back. And next time, they'll be stronger." Emma sighed. "At least we have the Luminari on our side now. Together we can prepare." Aaron turned. To look at her, "Do you think they'll stay, or will they leave once they've recovered?" "They want to help," Emma replied. "They know the Void Spawn are a threat to everyone, not just them. But they're also cautious. They've lost so much already." Aaron understood. The Luminari had trusted humanity, even though they barely knew them. That trust was fragile, and it would take time to build something stronger. For now, though, their alliance was enough, in the days that followed. The human fleet returned to the space station orbiting Epsilon 7. The surviving Luminari came with them, seeking refuge while they rebuilt. The station became a hub of activity as humans and aliens worked side by side. Engineers studied the Luminari's organic technology, learning how to integrate it into human systems. Scientists exchanged knowledge, piecing together fragments. Of the Void Spawn's history and motives, Chief Engineer Sam Carter spent most of his time in the engineering bay, working closely with the Luminari. He marveled at their ability to blend biology and machinery seamlessly. "This is like nothing I've ever seen," he told Rachel Monroe one day. "It's not just advanced, it's alive." Rachel smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why the Void Spawn hate them so much. They're everything the Void Spawn aren't." Sam nodded thoughtfully. "Makes sense? The Void Spawn destroy, the Luminari create.
Ow.
No wonder they're enemies." As the repairs and upgrades continued, Captain Lisa Grant prepared the Vanguard for patrol duty. She knew the Void Spawn might return at any moment, and the fleet needed to stay vigilant. "We can't let our guard down," she told Aaron during one meeting. "Not even for a second." "I agree," Aaron replied. "But we also need to think long-term. How do we stop the Void Spawn permanently?" Lisa hesitated before answering. "It's a tough question. Right now, all we can do is keep improving our defenses. I would hope the Luminari have some answers." Admiral Karen Hayes arrived at the station to assess the situation. She was impressed by the progress the crew had made, but remained skeptical about the Luminari. "I trust your judgment, Blake," she said during a private conversation. "Don't forget, we're dealing with an alien species. We don't know their true intentions." "They saved us," Aaron reminded her. "Still, proceed with caution." Aaron promised to do just that. He knew the Admiral had a point. Trust was important, but so was caution. Back aboard the Horizon, the crew reflected on everything they had been through. Rachel sat in the cockpit, gazing out at the stars. She thought about the battles they had fought and the lives they had saved. "Do you think we'll ever explore space without worrying about threats like the void spawn?" she asked Aaron when. He joined her. "Probably not," Aaron admitted. "There's always going to be danger out here. But that's why we keep going, to learn, to grow, and to protect what matters." Rachel smiled faintly.
Outside sounds like something the Luminari would say.
Aaron chuckled. "Maybe they've taught us a lot." The Luminari themselves were recovering. Slowly, their leader, a tall and graceful figure named Kale, met with Aaron regularly to discuss their plans. "Your people are brave," Kale said during one meeting. "Braver than we expected." "So are yours," Aaron replied. "Doubt. We wouldn't have won that battle." Kale tilted its head, as if considering his words. "Perhaps. But bravery alone is not enough. To defeat the void spawn, we must unite not just our species, but others as well." Aaron frowned. "Others, you mean there are more civilizations?" "Out there? Many," Kale replied. "Some may join us, others may not. But we cannot face the void spawn alone." Aaron nodded. "Then we'll find them. Together." Over the next few weeks, the station buzzed with preparations. The upgraded ships were ready for deployment, and the crew trained tirelessly for future encounters. The Luminar shared stories of other civilizations they had encountered. Aaron gathered the crew in the mess hall for a rare moment of downtime. He raised a glass, his expression serious but hopeful. "We've been through a lot," he began. "We've lost good people along the way, but we've also gained Alizand a purpose. The road ahead won't be easy, but I believe in this crew. I believe in what we can achieve." The room erupted in applause, and for a brief moment, the weight of their mission lifted. They laughed, talked, and shared stories late into the night, finding comfort in each other's company. When the celebrations ended, Aaron returned to the bridge. He stared out at the stars, thinking about the journey ahead. Still out there, lurking in the darkness. But humanity wasn't alone anymore. With the Luminari by their side, and hopefully others in the future, they had a chance to make a difference. Aaron smiled faintly. "We're just getting started," he whispered to himself. And with that, the Horizon set course for the unknown. Ready to face whatever challenges awaited them? The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of mystery and promise. Humanity's place among them was still uncertain, but for the first time, Aaron felt hopeful.